Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
3 people taken to hospital after collision in Vaughan. Toronto Mayor calls for immediate funding to help prevent service cuts and layoffs. 2 male suspects wanted after armed carjacking in North York. Tory says loss of development charges would be devastating for Toronto's finances. Ukrainian newcomers face challenges as some landlords demand months of advance rent. 911 calling restored after outage for TELUS landlines in parts of GTA and Hamilton.
Those were the headlines, and now let's jump right into the details.
Toronto Mayor John Tory is calling for an immediate fund commitment from the federal and provincial governments to help the city get out of the red, warning of service cuts and layoffs if they don't get any additional cash. Council approved the 2022 operating budget back in February with a $1.4 billion deficit under the assumption that it would receive additional funding from other levels of government. In a letter which was sent to both Ontario Premier Doug Ford and Minister of Finance Chrystia Freeland on Wednesday, Tory says the deficit is now about $815 million. He stressed the shortfall is directly and only as a result of the impacts of COVID-19. This includes lost TTC revenue, an increase in the number of shelters in the city, and a loss of revenue due to travel restrictions and a drop in person working. Tory warned if Ford and Freeland don't set up, deep cuts to services may be necessary. The city has already received about $483 million in federal and provincial funding this year to address shortages related to transit, but Tory stressed that Toronto's deficit is far in excess of this amount. Despite this, Tory has maintained his pledge to keep property taxes below inflation, with a 2.9% increase in 2022. During the municipal election, the mayor said the budget would instead be balanced thanks to prudent financial management revenue from the TTC and partnership with other governments. However, in the letter it appears that though the mayor was banking on a significant contribution from those partnerships to make up the shortfall, Tory is asking that Ford and Freeland provide an immediate funding commitment for both 2022 and 2023 by the end of the month. More than 112,000 Ukrainians arrived in Canada by land and air between January 1st and October 30th, according to federal government. Canada also received more than 660,000 applicants for temporary residency from Ukrainians between March 17 and October 30th and approved over 360,000 of them, the government said. The Ukrainian newcomers are arriving when the rental market is highly competitive, particularly in the Greater Toronto Area. The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board said last month that the average rent of the one-bedroom condo soared by more than 20% to $2,481 between the third quarter of this year and the same period last year. It said the average rent for a two-bedroom apartment hit $3,184, a 14.5% jump from the same quarter the year before. Observers have noted that the first waves of Ukrainians who fled in the early months of war were largely welcomed with open arms, with Canadians allowing them to live in their basements and empty rooms, sometimes without asking for rent. But that has been slowly changing as the war drags on and more Ukrainians arrive, said Cassimi of the Newcomer Center of Peel. At the beginning, it was so nice and neat. Everybody opened the door, she said. It is getting very difficult right now. Toronto police are searching for 2 male suspects who are considered armed and dangerous after carjacking in North York Wednesday evening. Police said officers responded to reports of a robbery in the area of Oakburn Crescent and Harrison Garden Boulevard at around 8 p.m. A man was reportedly exiting his parked vehicle when 2 men approached him and made a demand for his keys, wallet, phone, and jewelry. One of the men then pointed a handgun at the victim, who was forced to the ground, police said. The victim turned over his belongings and then ran away from the scene, according to police. Investigators said the suspects then drove the victim's vehicle away from the area. The suspects are described as male, dark complexions, 5'8". One of the men was possession of a handgun. They are both to be considered armed and dangerous, police wrote in a news release on Thursday. A man wanted on a second-degree murder charge in connection with deadly Toronto shooting last month has been identified by police. Police received a call for unknown trouble in the area of Queen Street West between Portland Street and Augusta Avenue on the edge of the city's fashion district on October 22nd, just before 1 a.m. At that time, police said witnesses heard the sounds of gunshots and several people were seen leaving the area. When officers arrived at the scene, They located a man with gunshot wound outside on the ground. He was pronounced deceased at the scene, identified as 38-year-old Peter Alexandros Madiminos. He is the city's 57th homicide victim of the year. No suspect information was released at the time. However, a news release issued Thursday, police identified Sarkis Sagutlu, 28, of Toronto, as a suspect. Sagutlu is wanted on a second-degree murder charge in connection with the shooting. Investigators said he is believed to be armed and dangerous. If located, do not approach. Call 911 immediately, police said. TELUS says it has restored 911 calling to landline customers following a widespread outage overnight. We apologize for the service interruption you experienced. As of now, your service has been restored, the company said in an update shortly before 7 a.m. Police in Hamilton warned early in the morning that some landline users would not be able to dial 911. According to TELUS, at this current time, TELUS landline, whether voice-over or hardware IP, does not have the ability to call 911, the police service said in a tweet. We have been advised this is a widespread outage. According to the company's website, the outage began shortly after 1 a.m. and affected Durham, Guelph, Halton, Hamilton, Niagara, and Peel. Wildline 911 services are experiencing a failure which may result in being unable to call 911 from your landline, the company said in an online notice earlier. There was no immediate word on what caused the outage.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.